I'm Kathy with a K. I have stand-up comedian Daryl Bonilla, born and raised here in Hawaii, or?
Yeah, born and raised here. Grew up in Waianae.
I've seen your stand-up. I really enjoy the various stories or bits. I don't want to be un-PC in the world of stand-up comedy to not use the correct vernacular and like lingo bits. For is it a bit, a skit, is it something, is it funny, that kind of thing. But I've seen over the seasons, I've seen your work, your stand-up, and it's great. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
January 4th, BlueNoteHawaii.com in Waikiki. Is it your...
This is my first time headlining at the Blue Note. So I've gotten to headline at other venues, but never at the Blue Note. I've featured at the Blue Note. I've opened for several acts at the Blue Note and everything, but this would be the first time I'm the headliner of my own show at the Blue Note. So this would be the first time.
So what's the origin story of your stand-up comedy?
I got into stand-up kind of late in the game as far as age-wise.
There's such a thing?
Yeah, because sometimes you see some people, they say like they were going out when they're like 15, 16, going out to the open mics and such, or right out of high school or in college. But for me, I never even thought about comedy. I love doing comedic acting. As an actor, I did a lot of stage plays and I did a lot of comedic acting and stuff like that. I even did like some sketch type comedy before with a friend of mine, Rodney Kwok. We used to be called the Brothers with Different Matas, and we used to do like Cheech and Chong kind of local sketch comedy kind of thing, but I never did stand-up. But the perception was a lot of people thought I was a stand-up comedian, so a lot of people assumed I've been doing stand-up, but no, I never did. But a lot of comedians, like Augie T and such, would always kind of encourage me to try and stand-up. They thought I would be really good at it, but I always looked at it like, there's a difference between funny at work, funny on stage with somebody else's written words, than being a comedian and going on stage and being yourself and like telling jokes or just telling stories. So I kind of shied away from it. But then about maybe 9 years ago, Timmy Matos, who I met doing the Augie T TV show, ran into me at my job and just was like, hey, you still doing stand-up? And I was like, I never did stand-up. And then he invited me to do a show. And then I went and I had no material, nothing, just went on stage. Because I think before that, I did a couple open mics, maybe like a couple months before that, just to try it. And it went good. It was like surprisingly, again, no material. I just went up and just kind of talked. And I kind of made fun of the venue, made fun of the fact that barely anybody was there, and it was a lot of fun, and it went good. But then after that, I was like, I think that's it. I never really pursued it until I met up with Timmy Matos, and he put me on one of his shows. Did it, really enjoyed it, and then I kind of got latched on with that little group where I was opening for him, and from there I just kind of started doing it more frequently. And then that's how, I guess, the act, that's what they say, right? That's one of the words. That's when I started developing the act, and my bits started coming together because I had no material. I just would go on and riff,
right,
and then try to memorize, at least remember what I said that worked or was funny. And then from there, I've been doing it steady ever since. So about 9 years now. Okay,
so we're in 2022, 9 years ago. Math is not strong for me, so we'll just say about 10 years. We'll round it up.
Yeah. Because it's coming. Yeah, so 2023, like summer 2023, will be my 10-year anniversary.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So the BlueNoteHawaii.com, getting tickets January 4th, 2023. Will you have an opener for that?
Yeah, so it'll be Andrew Joyce, who's a very energetic, very fun comedian. I've worked with him several times on several shows, and he's always a lot of fun. So he'll be opening up for me, so that's pretty cool and stuff. And he's always been a big supporter of mine from the first time we ever met in comedy, and so any chance we can work together is a good opportunity. He's a lot of fun too. So
you were saying that when you first started, you would go on stage and do a kind of memory game, like what seemed to work. When did you still operate that way, or do you actually have a book?
I still kind of do it that way, because when I first started doing comedy, I would try to sit down and try to write, and it just sounded very mechanical, robotic. It didn't seem natural, and I was like, kid, most of my humor comes from when I'm talking story people and I'm just telling stories, or so how I did it was I would just do like chapters. I would give myself chapters, like, okay, I'm going to talk about relationships. I'm going to talk about, getting old. I'm going to talk about, being a dad and all this kind of stuff. And then my theater kind of helped me out because the more I would do this and then I repeating the same stories or the same jokes, then it became Memorex. And then I started memorizing. But I would have new ideas, but I never write them down. It'd be like driving home in traffic because I live in Waianae, so I'm always in traffic. So I got a lot of time for work on my material.
Both ways.
Yeah, both ways. So I got a lot of time to sit there and then think of stuff I can talk about. And it's always based on real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stuff I talk about is based on things that really happened to me or stuff that I've observed or did or whatever. And that's the beauty of stand-up is like every audience is different. Yes. So like a joke that can work every single time with 90% of your audience, all of a sudden you'll get that one show where it doesn't work. And then they would laugh at a joke that maybe wasn't one of your strongest jokes. And so you kind of never know. So I always give myself three chances. If it's a new joke I try, if I do it once and it works, then great. And then I'll try it again. And if it works again, I go, okay, I got something, and I'll keep it and then just start developing it more and, adding on to it as I go on. If it doesn't work once, I'll try it again. If it doesn't work twice, then that's the end of that joke. I don't have that's why if I did open mic and if I didn't do good the first 2 times I did it, I probably would never be doing it again. I can't, I have no patience for myself to kind of go and constantly get like, to bomb constantly. I cannot.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
So you must, so like seriously, even now, if you have no backup drive to like do a reference, everything's just like, what happened today? What happened this week?
Yeah, like
wow,
I've had that before. I had one where I was in a relationship and I literally just broke up, and this was like my first stand up right before, and that's where, and I came up with some fun jokes just on the spot talking about, so this just happened to me and blah blah blah, and then and some of my like more popular jokes came from that experience. So yeah, you never know. You got to find humor in everything, I guess. Sometimes, So that's what I try to do.
I really like that. Your background, you said, is acting, like proper acting and live theater, local productions. Are you a SAG card carrying member?
Yeah, I think my SAG might have expired though, because I'm in Hawaii. There's not really much work when you're a SAG actor. That's kind of like the catch-22, because if you get the SAG, that's great. But then you're in Hawaii, and most of the jobs is non-union, unless it's like, the Magna PIs and the NCISs. And, those are not always guaranteed you can get in those shows all the time. And if you get in, you probably get in once. So I have a SAG membership. So I still get those residuals every now and then for some of the work I did. Yeah.
So you have a page on imdb.com.
I actually do. I even have a Wikipedia apparently too. Somebody brought to my attention. So I don't know.
Have you seen it yet?
I have. I think that's what the bio is for my Blue Note. Hoping I developed enough of I guess a fan base, or at least a consistency with my performances, that anybody who's ever seen my comedy knows that no matter if there's 5 people in the audience or 500 or whatever, like they're going to get a good show. I'm going to give them 110%.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, for a good turnout, a solid show. And then from there, it'll be a couple of things. It'll be kind of like resetting and then maybe developing my next hour. And then from there, while I build that new set, then hopefully bigger venues and bigger audiences. Yeah, for sure. That's always the hope.
Daryl Bonilla, January 4th, 2023, Blue Note Hawaii, BlueNoteHawaii.com for more details.